Welcome everybody to STAX by Investor Central Club. This is Eric here, ready to do your monthly backtest. And one of the things I want to point out for today is that we have had our 1-year anniversary of STAX and STAX AI. So we're going to go over some more things in a little bit more detail today when it comes down to our backtest. Now, I do want to make sure that you guys understand we're trying to be as transparent as possible here. So if you do have any questions at all, please don't hesitate. Email us or send us a message, help@investorcentralclub.com. If you're in the Discord or you have STAX, we do have a way now where you are able to discuss with us and to talk with us within the chat on the bottom right corner. Now we do have our Discord linked to our STAX software. Quick little review. We do also have a little bit of an update this month for our anniversary. I'm just going to really quickly disable these here so we have a little bit more real estate to look at. STAX AI checked off. This is what we will be back testing today. If you do scroll all the way to the right, you're going to see we have conditions and the contract numbers all added into our data chart here for you to take a look at. I will be doing a little bit of analysis to see. So far I haven't come across any conclusions of anything in particular in terms of the conditions right now, but I'm sure as we continue we may discover some things that may help us make better trades as we go. For the month of November, you'll see starting down here we've got the BABA, NMRA, DAL, Delta Airlines, LVS, Run, Tesla, ALB, APP, AA, MSTR, APO, APP, Netflix, and going into December we have MSTU, and today we just had CRM come in. I know I did release a couple of the preliminary numbers, but today I do also want to point out with the CRM call that just came in. CRM popped quite a little bit today, and it actually increases our hit rate just a little bit. I'll go over that when we get into our numbers. Got some things to go over, so let's go over it. Let's go into our numbers today. All right. Did my export, technically I did my export on the 3rd. We do not see the CRM print up in here just yet, but I did do a little update today, so that's why it says update on the 4th, which is today. Let's go over our numbers. If we were to go through things, obviously this month of December, it's only been a day or two, so I'm not going to worry too much about this one. This one so far is a miss. But there are still some people that were actually able to capitalize on it. From the spot price to today's price, what I've done on the left over here is you can actually see if it's in green versus in red. Shows if you went in on equity when they went in on these options, are they up or are they down? So a very quick reference to them on the left side over here. Obviously we do have some that have retraced back down, even though the options you'll see, and you'll see from the spark line on the very left, there are ones that have gone up and then come back down as well. So you always want to keep in mind as you do trade, if you do trade options, they are very volatile. So make sure that you have your stop losses set, make sure that you are careful, make sure that you manage your risk. That is something that we definitely preach highly and preach to all of our traders, making sure that you have a great risk reward and a risk management strategy when it comes down to these situations that you get into. So far for the month of November, with our back testing to December 3rd, December 4th here. I keep on doing that. What we do have here for our 15 prints, all 15 of them have hit, but I will point out a couple of these I've put in some lighter shaded blue. The lighter shaded blue shows that they were less than 10% in terms of the returns, and you'll take a quick look over at those in particular. Some of them may have come back down since, okay? So for example, this Tesla one right here, that's only a 6% return. Yes, it's gone up a little bit. if you had gotten into equity, you would be in the green. But in terms of their actual prices for the options, options don't move exactly 1-to-1 compared to the equity prices. The prices have not gained nearly as much as what we expect from some of these STAX prints. We have anywhere from 12% all the way up to 101. This APP, we did notice a couple of our members in our Discord shouted that one out, noticing a breakout, a wedge pattern breakout about to happen. And if you did happen to get into that 100% return, even if you didn't get quite 100% return, anything over 25 to 50% is already a great trade when you consider it. They still do have some time. You'll notice with the expiration dates on all of these, they're now aiming for 2025. Some of them early 2025, but quite a few for January of 2026. So they're definitely worth keeping an eye on. And even though our current average hit rate and our average return rate for these is quite low, if you look back on our previous back tests, the month that we're testing generally tends to be, I would say, under 50% in terms of the returns on average. But if you give them time, and if you take a look further down, they tend to go higher as time goes on. The month before, month of October, 100% hit rate, 8 out of 8. On average, 66.93%. I want to point out this one for ARM. We saw a big influx of this happen right before their earnings came in. And ARM has retraced a little bit. It's dropped about $15 from there. It did hit a high, so from their entry point of 17.2, it did hit 18.4, so it's about a 7% return. But just like I said, those ones that have lower percentage returns, I tend to take a note of, because again, these ones do have some time. Would not be surprised to see them go higher as time goes on, but over the course of just a day or two after they got in onto these contracts, it's actually down. So I have it marked as a W here, but you can consider it if it wasn't a W. It's in red right now just because it's got some ground to regain and recover if you are in those contracts still. Now, these light blue, the cyan color that we have in here are ones that made a significant move since last time. Anything that you see in this, I call this STAX blue right here, is anything that was updated for this, this upcoming month, meaning that they reached new highs since the last time I back tested. NVIDIA, you may understand, has been moving quite a bit. And what's actually interesting, you'll see, you've got 3 NVIDIA prints here, all for March of 2025, but they're different strike prices. You got one that's closer to, they're all out of the money, but a little bit lower and a little bit further. The one that's furthest did not update a higher or register a higher high compared to the month before. So you'll notice that one shows its high still in October. But again, there still is and still are continued NVIDIA purchases. If you are in STAX and have noticed recently, STAX, there's quite a bit of activity when it comes to NVIDIA. What else? We had a couple of these that were YPF. I noticed right here, 400% return. Got in at $3.10. Now is a $15. Already gone up $14 and quite a percentage in terms of from their entry. Keep in mind what STAX AI is doing is they're selecting the most unusual, most aggressive prints that big money institutions have put their money where their mouth is. They've spent at least $1 million in premium, and in these situations, especially, for example, this one was a $24 spot price. They were getting in out of the money. Plus, they've purchased quite a bit of time. Our algorithm evaluates and filters through all of the prints that come into the dark pool and allows us to determine what are the most unusual, most aggressive trades that have a high probability of us gaining some returns from. CNX right here, nearly 200%, went from 1.85 up to $5.54. And you'll notice all these are updated for the month of November, meaning they reached new highs then. 18 out of 18, 100% hit rate, 66.93%. A real interesting one right here, UAL, United Airlines. They did have their earnings call last month. And what ended up happening was they announced the share buyback plan. They announced great earnings. This one went from $2.70 up to $31.81, over a 10x return. Keep in mind, this is return, meaning that this was almost 11x, 12x of what you started with. So again, there are some great picks by STAX AI here. United Airlines continues to go a bit higher. It's still testing its highs right now. And they got in with a strike price of 70 when it was at 56. So you can notice it's out of the money. They purchased for March of 2025, spent over $1 million on it, and as a result, quite some great returns that you can see here. Another one worth mentioning is MicroStrategy. I'm sure you've heard of all the ruckus around Bitcoin and their strategy buying Bitcoin. This one, 744% return. This one purchased at, it's a $4,000 option right here. You might notice $41.0 for 100 stock option, or 100 options, or 100 stocks. You might understand how options work. That contract itself is now worth $346 per share. So keep in mind, they went from $4,000 here up to $34,000, a return of over 700%. XLF, this one as well, 329%. The financial sector going up higher and higher from September going till now. NVIDIA, Delta Airlines, you'll notice last month, if you look back on last month's backtest, these numbers were not nearly as high. Now we're on average 11 out of 11, 100% hit rate with an average of 273%. So these ones definitely, if you've just gotten into these ones back in September, I'm sure you're looking at some pretty great gains from those if you held all the way till now. I'm gonna make sure that on the left here, I added these spark lines on the left. So from the entry date till where we are now, these are great lines to take a look at, whether the price has gone down or gone up, had some dips and recovered, etc. It helps me make a quick evaluation of whether or not I should be double checking or rechecking these prices for these options, especially if they go higher or if they have significantly dropped at all. As we continue to go back, I'll take a moment. You guys can always pause this video, take a look over at these numbers. If you do notice any mistakes, please let me know. I'm more than happy to go through and double check. Again, I've gone through these 240 prints manually, one by one, to double check where things are. CEG, and an energy group, I believe with their earnings had a great pop, went up 500%. Tesla, you may have understood after the election, dropped, or not didn't drop, went up quite a bit actually. Here looking at a 400% return. A lot of our updates with Tesla, with APO, this one right here going up higher. VST right here as well. New highs or a new little pop that allowed those options with still quite a bit of time to go higher. What I've noticed as well, so for example, let's use this VST one as an example. They got in at $99, strike price of $155. Quite an aggressive move, you might understand. That's looking at over a 50% expected move. They did give themselves a little over 6 months of time, and that option was only $4.30 per share when they got in. Now VST is sitting at $161, and now that option is much higher, $22.47. Now in the at the end of November. So You know, a lot of people have been asking me, Eric, what's a good time to get out of these options? I've been trying to see if I can notice any certain trends. What the main thing I would point out is that if they have purchased time, you want to think about they've done that for a reason. Now, of course, there are certain ones where, you know, they go down, they never really quite recover. I'll use, for example, there are some of these down here for Apple. Apple, even though Apple's doing better now, it's gone higher. You have to keep in mind that the strike price versus the expiration price is still extremely important. Too far out of the money with not enough time can still cause some of these prices, these option prices, to go down. But overall, what I do have noticed is that if they're purchasing 6 months to a year or more, there's generally a reason behind it. Most of these I've noticed start to recover quite a bit. This one, Peloton, from back in March, had quite a bit of a drop, but now Peloton has broken back up, and this one is now looking at over a 270% return. So keep in mind, I wouldn't say there's necessarily a signal for when you should be getting out of these. I've had some requests to double check the volume and open interest of these contracts as we continue, to try to get an idea of whether or not these big money institutions have potentially gotten out of their positions, so we can double check. If you do go through each of these individual, their individual charts, what's great about right now is that you can actually go back, and I've asked Chef here, let me pull this up. If you go into our STAX software, you can actually now go and take these contract names, and you can go search them up on Yahoo, search them up on whatever brokerage that you're on, and you can take a look and look at the volume. I'm going to leave it up to you guys right now to get started on it. You're going to have to give me a little bit of time to go through it on my own over here before I can share it. But notice if volume, OI, did they potentially get out of that trade? And if they did, was it before or after a certain price spike or near the highs? Do we have indications of those movements? That's where our back testing is going to go next, what we're going to start to focus on to try to get a better idea of what they're doing behind the scenes. One thing I do want to point out right here, CRM, just like I noticed and pointed out for you guys today, the two W's that are in blue, these were originally misses, and just with today's pop on the 4th, they went back into the green. All right, so you can notice if they got in over here on the left and it's dropped since their earnings and came back up, it wasn't until today, so 194 days before they saw a 10% return on them. We can go ahead and actually, let's do that together right here. Let's take a peek over at this. Let's just go year to date. And you'll notice that this large volume spike over here, right, 2,155 is where they got in. They might have potentially gotten out over here. Okay, so that might have been an indication of that volume with it dropping. And if you notice today too, 391, there's a little bit of a volume spike here too. But is that volume enough to negate what was here? Yeah, maybe, right? 2,155, 959, 1,325. They possibly already got out, okay? But just so you guys understand, our back testing will go through and double check the long term. So they technically have till the middle of next year. We're going to keep an eye on this as well. But this now is considered a W. You'll notice that NVIDIA, especially before their split, because before their split, they were trading in the thousands. I've had to do a little bit of these intrinsic calculations of what these may be worth. Basically taking this, they did a 10-for-1 split, figuring out between their strike price and between their between the current price here, what that option may be potentially worth right there. That's why I have those ones in this yellow. Same with AVGO, Broadcom. They had a split as well. So these are estimates of what that, and keep in mind they would be lower estimates than what they possibly would be worth, because if they are in the money, for example, this one would be in the money. I'm not calculating any extrinsic values, any time values, and theta with it. So these are considered low estimates of what they would potentially be worth. Keep in mind too that for that one bumped our hit rate up for the month of March by 2, those 2 CRM prints. And you'll quickly notice, let's go down here into our overall hit rates. As time has gone on, the majority of these have a very, very high hit rate, 80 to 90%, if not 100. On average, if you let them, I like to say, let them marinate a little bit, let them wait it out, especially if they purchase that extra time, are looking at some pretty awesome returns. I know with the previous post I did in our Discord to share these preliminary numbers, it said 94% with those 2 CRM prints that just hit today as of the 4th. It's now looking at 95%. Okay, so 220, let's change this, 228 now out of 240, and 69.69 days to the high. On average, 195% returns. I have had a couple of you guys reach out to me, people that maybe work in data, work with numbers a little bit. If you have any suggestions, any ideas in order to help us, streamline some of this, help us automate some parts of these, for example, the spark line and the current price, these were things, and also our calculations for the dates. These were all suggestions from our from our members from STAX and from our Discord. If you have any suggestions, please reach out, let us know. I'm more than happy to add and implement new things to help you guys analyze what STAX is doing, analyze our STAX AI software and our algorithm to see what it is that can help us ensure our profitability, increase the probabilities of us coming out with these high returns. For example, there are some of these that will hit their highs and retrace quite a bit. So you have to understand that risk management strategy is still quite important to make sure that you walk away with green. Before we sign off here, I wanted to go over some of these numbers right here. This was from yesterday. I did not update that CRM print, but that CRM print wouldn't even register the over 25, so it shouldn't have changed anything. Let's change this here. We got 25% now. So if you take a look at our returns, what I did at one point was I took a copy of all this. It jumbles up a lot of the stuff, but what I did was I just filtered through in terms of low to high percentage returns and figured out exactly how many of them are returning over a certain percentage. So over 25%, we have 189 of them. Almost 80% of our prints and callouts by STAX AI return at least 25%. Over 50%, 146 of those, so about 60% of them. The ones that double your money, 111 prints have doubled, from their entry to the highs. Keep in mind, if from their entry it went lower and you got in a little bit lower than what STAX got in at, it's possible that these numbers could be higher, okay? 111 out of 240, that's almost 50%. So 46.25% are returning over 100%. All right, show me other software, show me something else that gets you this type of return. Again, we're doing these to give full transparency of how our STAX AI is helping our members gain such great returns on their trades. I've got little graphs here that show our average return, the percentage hit for this chart on the left, and some quick numbers here. 2 of them are over 2,000%. 8 of them are over 1,000%. Those same 8 are over 9. 9 over 800%, 12 over 700%, 16 over 600%, 23 over 500%, and 31 over 400%. So you can see, with our numbers here, all of our back testing, everything's fully transparent for you guys to see in front of you right now. All right. Again, if you have questions, please don't hesitate, reach out. Questions for us at help@investorcentralclub.com, or please message us in the Discord, DM me, DM Chemo, send us a message. Let us know what you like to see. What you would, what trades did you get in? Did they not pan out as well as STAX is showing? We'd like to know those things. We want to come together, create a strategy that allows everyone to profit as much as possible. Again, trading is never going to be a guarantee, but having such a powerful tool such as this, such as STAX AI on your side, we do believe helps make things a lot easier. Well, again, this is Eric here with InvestorCentralClub.com, STAX AI. STAX AI strikes again. We hope to see you guys in the next one. This is us signing out after our 1-year anniversary of STAX AI and STAX software. We hope to see you guys in the next one.